This episode of A Hero's Journey podcast is brought to you by S&P Inc. Shout out to those guys, Tyler and Marvin. I was just on their podcast yesterday. They're launching their own show, talking about their journey and what they're doing to help improve and rebuild confidence for others like they did for me. JPS Computers, Jesse Dugas, dude, you rock. Hero'sJourneyPodcast.com, ElvisMonroe.com. That's where you can find me, find what's going on, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And my newest sponsor, 1-844-RIDE-OR-DIE-LEGAL. If you ride a motorcycle, if you're out there, even if you want a ticket fixed or help with a traffic ticket, that kind of thing, the hardest thing about being a rider or being in an accident is what do you turn, who are you going to go to, and 1-844-RIDE-OR-DIE-LEGAL. It's kind of our motto. You love riding. It's the chance you take, but it's something that you just got to love it and understand it. I was watching the intro, and in this intro, I noticed that my next guest is a repeat offender, but I noticed that I use clips from shows that I've shared the stage with him. I noticed that it was Mandalay Bay, about 6,000 people, sold out show, right? Oh gosh, it was like one of the first shows. The Mandalay Bay was kind of, had a bad rap from October 1, all that stuff. And we came in and we did a show together. Then we turned around and years later came back and did what's now the Virgin. And it was, I can't remember the name of the stage, but I have a video of hanging out over right before taking the stage, and there was 9,000 people. It was sold out. It was body to body before we ever even took the stage. It was us, Gavin DeGraw, and Brett Young. So my next guest is a guy. He was the music conductor. He was the MD for him. He was the guy that I'm just so proud to have him back in the studio, Mr. Matt Ferranti. What's up, dude?
Hey, what's up, man?
How are you?
Good to see you, bub.
Yeah, you too.
Round two.
Yes, round two.
Yes, sir.
I noticed that. I was sitting here watching the intro, and those were
the ones that we did.
Those were two shows that we did together. I've done other acoustic shows on runs with Brett, but those were two shows that we did.
Massive.
We were huge.
Didn't you bring your dad up to play?
I did on every show.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
One of my favorite moments. Okay, so we're going to do the show at Mandalay Bay with you, and my parents would live here with me about 7-8 months out of the year. And then our summers, which we're in right now in Vegas, get really hot. So my parents go back to Washington State. Well, I remember my dad sitting in his lounge chair, and I said, "Hey, Pops, you going to come play spoons with us tonight?" And he goes, "How many people are going to be there?" I'm like, "Really? That's what's going to take to get you. That's what's going to take you to get you out of this chair is how many people?" And then I'm like, "Dad, it's with Brett Young," and he's like, "Oh, I'm there, right? Love Brett. He loved Brett, right?" So we go do the show, and I remember walking out on stage. There was such an energy, people standing in the water on the sand. Yeah. It was packed already right before we took the stage. We had one of my songwriting heroes, Matt Scannell from Vertical Horizon was there. And right before I took the stage, I was like, hey, I took a shot in the dark. I love telling this story because I walk up to him, I meet him, and then about 5 minutes in the conversation, we're about to take the stage, and I said, "Hey, man, I wrote a song with Ben. It's called The Fight. It's like an anthem, and I get the crowd singing it, and I wrote it for the city of Vegas, right? Yeah. And if you feel it, come join me, because I'll get the crowd singing it." He's like, appreciate it, thanks, Yeah. And we're in the middle of that song, and I turn to my right. I'm videoing the crowd. Yeah. It's an amazing energy. He's on the mic singing with me, and I'm like, "Matt Scannell, everybody, Vertical Horizon." Everybody starts cheering, and I'm videoing him singing with me, and I thought, what a great moment. When it was over, I was like, "Hey, man, thank you for doing that. What made you do it?" He goes, "I watched 6,000 people just start leaning into you, and you invited me to be a part of that. I wanted to be a part of it." Yeah. And that's what music is. That's that. I got the chance to watch you, play with Brett for years, then turn around and have Brett embrace you and go, "You're your own person. You're your own artist. You're the guy. I want to take you out on the road, and you're going to be my opening act on top of you're going to run my, running the band for me." So let's talk about that, man. Let's talk about that, what you're doing and what's going on right now.
Yeah. So the past 6 weeks have just been a blur. We went to Europe. We flew into where were we flying to? We flew into Oslo, Norway. Went to Sweden. Went to Germany. Went to Amsterdam. Went to the whole UK tour. I think it was 12 dates in all, but it was like 3 weeks of travel. He had me open up 4 of those dates over there, which was crazy. And then we got home. We had a couple days, and then it was CMA Fest, and had a whole crazy week of CMA Fest. Got to play, I think the last was Friday. We played Ascend Amphitheater. Gavin DeGraw came out. Colby Calais came out. Charles Kelly from Lady A came out. Sam Fisher came out. Like, it was, and I had like 1 day of half rest. And then I flew right out here to go do my residency out in Las Vegas at Owl Red. So it's been a whirlwind. You can tell my voice is a little tired.
Right.
But, man, it's been so fun. It's been such a blessing. I told you I have a little boy now, right?
Yeah.
And so, being gone has been a little difficult, but, sending money back home to mom, make sure they're eating, make sure they're doing good, makes it all worth it. It's all good. But yeah, man, it's just been really busy. And I go right back to Nashville. I have a whole week of shows over there. We started playing at some more bars in Nashville. So like, we do play the Old Red there. We play Barstool. That's been something that we've started doing since I was here last. Which that's a great little bar. Obviously Jason Aldean's, and we opened up Morgan Wallen's rooftop bar.
Oh, wow.
So it opened up Saturday of CMA Fest. We were like the first band to play.
Oh, how cool.
The late night shift up there. So yeah, it's just been crazy, man. On top of that, trying to get all these songs finished. I have 34 songs ready to go sitting on my phone, ready to release, which maybe we can save that for the next thing. But yeah, I mean, just a lot of cool stuff going on, man.
Well, here's the thing. Like, we're going to do this in 2 parts, and we'll figure out a way to get a little taste before we start the second part.
Yeah.
That's what will make people come back next week. We'll play some of the samples, because we talked about that, and I totally forgot. So, Travis, we got the chief nerd to make that happen. We'll figure it out.
I'm already hooking things up. I got a whole rack system back here. We're making it happen.
Are you going to have a band? What's going on?
No, we're going to live play it right now.
Okay, you know what? And I want to, I did this to myself. I forgot my favorite part of that story that I was saying. My dad, when sharing the stage with you guys, turned around. So there's 6,000 people, right? And he puts his arm around me, and we're walking away, and there's 6,000 people behind me. You were there. Heather was there. I threw you my set list in the wall. You're like screaming for my set list. I threw it for you. But my dad goes, "That was a lot of fun." I'm like, "It was, Pops." And he goes, "We've done more than that." And I said, "We, Pops? We've done more than that." But I'm like, amazing. And I stood back there behind you guys watching you guys just conduct the whole crowd. I want to get into, because you just skipped over a whole bunch of cool stuff that you did. So I want to get into exactly some of this, like Europe. You've been out doing the solo thing. You've been doing your thing with your record. So let's plug that. It's Matt Ferranti. It's on iTunes and Spotify,
YouTube, all this stuff. Yeah.
Right. And
Christian Mingle, all those sites.
Christian Mingle. But no, you've got what's you have a single out right now, or do you have a few out that you pushed?
So Brett was an executive producer off the first EP that I put out, and I recorded with Jimmy Robbins in Nashville. And Noah Needleman, Noah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Noah. And, Noah's great. He just gave me a great big hug the other night. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you've seen him recently?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I think I love that man a whole lot.
Yeah.
So he made my record sound really good. And I've just been playing on that the whole time. I mean, I've released a couple other songs after that, but that's been the consistent EP I've been pushing. Mm-hmm. And most of the time, this industry can get a little crazy, and some people might make you think that you just have to move off of songs too quickly, or not like, I got to do something else new and quicker and something flashy right now.
Right.
And to me, I doubled down on, no, I'm going to promote this record, and I'm going to play the hell out of it for a couple years. So in the meantime, I have been writing a bunch of songs, and I have so many ready to go. But just really leaning into that EP and not moving off it, and making sure that I'm singing those songs every time we go out has been really important. It's been really good. So streaming stuff has really, kind of been better because I haven't moved off it, right?
Right.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
So we were talking, I said, what's some of your favorite moments lately? And you said going to Europe.
Yes.
Going to Europe, and talk about that. I want to get into because this is a Hero's Journey podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what we make of it. You just flew through all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But these are moments that you're in.
Yeah.
You're taking it in. Yeah, you have a show the next day with that kind of stuff. But in those moments, there are moments that just you're not going to forget. I want to get into this.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, when I left Brett's band, because I left him in January of last year. Okay. So it's been about year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I had another guy come in. His name is Justin Young, and he took my spot. But has since then gotten offered his own tour to go out and do his own thing. So Brett was like, "Yo, we need another guy again. Could you come back and do it? We'll give you a little raise.
Right.
Come back and help your boy." And I was like, "Man, I just got used to getting my ass kicked like by myself.
Right.
Like I'm actually seeing some incremental growth of like, oh, me doing Matt Ferranti by himself is actually kind of working, So I was like, man, I will help you out as much as I can, but I can't come back full time. So we had a good conversation. That was it. And then like a week later, he's like, how about instead of me taking someone else from Nashville on the bus and having someone open that's maybe like got some street cred or TikTok famous or something like that. Mm-hmm. He was like, I'm going to have you open 4 shows. I'm going to have other guitar player open 4 shows and the other guitar player open up 4 shows. So 12 shows in a row. We had played 13 shows, sorry. And it was like, obviously we got paid twice, which is insane. We're sending money home to the babies.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And yeah, so I opened up in Birmingham, Bristol, Glasgow, Scotland, and Belfast, Ireland.
Amazing. I saw Brett sharing those clips too.
Man,
of you doing that.
Man. And since then, like, I think what's cool is me playing these shows, having these other guys be like, holy shit, man, we've seen you grow so much. Like now you come out here like your life depends on it.
Right.
Not like, oh my God, I'm so over. It's just like, no, I'm taking this by the horns and we running, and you're gonna sit in my palm for 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so that was really cool having them understand. So all of that kind of stuff is, sometimes when you get lost in details, you kind of start getting lost a little bit, and those are those reminding moments that like, man, I'm doing the right thing, and even that. So Bristol, I've never felt more like a rock star in my entire life. Like even when I go back home to Bay City, Michigan, I get hella love. My mom doesn't like it because I can't go to Applebee's without getting like knocked on, right?
Right.
Which is fine. But Bristol was like 650 people meet and greet after the show.
Wow.
Like I walk out, everyone's cheering out the back, this and that. You like offering me cigarettes, like sign this. I signed white T-shirts with lipstick. It was, just like the most outrageous things. I'm like, all right, appreciate all you guys. It took me an hour just to get through all that. End up going, trying to find a little bar to hide. Ain't no place to hide there.
Wow.
So now I just had beers coming my way, pictures at the bar, like just kept it rolling like that. And that did, not that I ever lost self-confidence, but it was like, damn.
Yeah.
We can do this.
Yeah, we need that. Need that.
We can do this.
Yes, absolutely. And, good for you.
And on top of that, like it gives me some street cred back in Nashville.
Right.
So now when people introduce me on stage back there, they're like, just off a European tour opening for Brett Young.
Right.
It just like, and now we're getting later slots. Now we're getting more money. Now we're getting, it's kind of driving my price up a little bit, if you will.
Yes.
And it's just blessings, man. Blessings.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So that's a big, and not to go, I'm going back to what you said, but saying I can't go back and do that full time. That's you gambling on yourself and believing in yourself. That's huge.
For a second time. It was hard the first time. It was really hard the first time. I mean, I was struggling in Europe because I was having like to experience the loss, kind of. And then these are my brothers. You know what I'm saying? These are like, it's not even like, yo, I'm regretting me doing music. It's like, man, I've been around these same guys like every weekend for 9 years. Mm-hmm. Like I won't get that no more. Like, all those little things that goes through your mind. I remember like, I used to be late to stuff all the time when I was a kid, like punctuality. I'm just ADD crazy person. And like, but touring has made me like check master tour, be 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think at one of the O2 academies, I slept past my alarm a little bit, and the tour manager like knocks on my bunk. He's like, "Hey, we got like 7 minutes till showtime." Oh, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
On top of that, me already being kind of sad for leaving, I was just like bummed. I was just like, oh, put my stuff on real quick, go da-da-da. And I didn't, I just kind of kept my head down, played the show. And then, Brett's like, yo, come to the bus afterwards. Let me talk to you. I was like, all right, cool. He was like, bro, you are a gangster. So when you don't have your gangster mentality, when you feel it, when everyone can see it.
They know
they
it.
feel that
Yeah.
you're bummed or whatever. And he was like, take this as a learning lesson, like because everyone does look up to you. Everyone, like, there is some pressure that you set for yourself. There's a precedence that I set for myself about being pro, being happy. Let's go whoop that ass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so so all those little things, man, put them together. It's like it's been the best learning experience of my entire life. I basically have a doctorate degree in touring because I've been doing it for like 10 years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's been through all the highs and lows and stuff. It's been one of the best things in my life, man. Yeah.
I think that, and I love that. But I think I'm sitting here listening to you that for those of you out there, this is Matt Ferranti. He's talking about being out on tour with Brett Young being his music director, playing guitar and keyboards and singing backgrounds and actually you got to open a lot of shows on the tours
tour.
and exactly, the chapter tour, right? The European tour as well. But people don't understand being a musician. There is a lot.
Man.
There's a lot involved. You and I, you're sitting here excited about new music, which means you had to write it. You had to sit, you lived it, you write the new music, you have to find a way to record it. But people are like, well, where do I get that? There's a whole process. It just doesn't instantly happen. You just talked about Noah and people like that helping you get your music to sound the way you want it to sound, or actually have a vision that maybe even you didn't know was there.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we could sit with an acoustic guitar and come up with something, and then it's how it's produced. It could be a metal song for all we know. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I wrote a song once that sounded like a Smooth, by Santana, but it was this rock song. It sounded like it could have been a Daughtry song at the end of the day when it was produced. Yeah. So there is a process. There is stuff that we go through. I was teaching a lesson. I had a fiddle player on the road. He was late to lobby call 2 days in a row. And I looked at him after day 2 and said, hey, I'm like, is your time more important than all of us?
Yeah.
Because we're on the bus waiting for you.
Straight up.
And you are just dragging your ass. You're not answering your phone. We don't know where you are.
Yeah.
Next time you're late, you're walking.
Yeah.
The third day, we left him. And we went to Fred Meyer's about a mile away. And we parked there and we did everything. We got groceries and all the stuff that we had to do because we were leaving town. He had to walk to Fred Meyer's. He got on the bus and he's like, felt so bad. And I'm like, look, I told you, ain't messing around. Like,
we ain't
your
playing.
time is not more important than ours. Now, I get a call. This was crazy because I get a FaceTime. He's in a robe. He's in Europe because now he plays for this girl named Stephanie.
Okay.
Well, we know her as Lady Gaga. He knows her as Stephanie. And
shit.
He gets me on FaceTime. He wanted to talk to me. And he goes, I want to talk to you. His name is Ramon Phillip. And he goes, Bryan, he goes, I got to tell you, the education that you gave me, the stuff that you did for me, that you took me under your wing. After every night we had a show, we would sit down, we would revel in how exciting the night was, but then we would talk about how do we make tomorrow better, because we have a show tomorrow and the next day. Mm-hmm. How do we make these nights better? What can we do? All these things that we did that I had to teach him, he had to do for himself because Lady Gaga's not doing that for him, and he's not going to be late. He's like, there were things, if I was late, I was going to be fired.
Yeah.
And I saw him on the Grammys playing, and he goes, I got to play for the president out here, you know, whatever. And I went, and this goes back to you, which is crazy, because I'm like, so what's this called? And he goes, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for educating me, help me grow, because I would have been fired because I saw other people pull that stuff and they were just gone. They just weren't there.
Yeah.
And she replaced them that quickly.
Yeah.
And he goes, I go, so what was your favorite moment? He goes, you want to know my favorite moment? The night I got to play Mandalay Bay with you. And I went, what?
Oh,
that was us. Okay. And I said, why that? And he goes, the very first show I ever saw in Las Vegas, my mom took me to see, it was like Bob Marley, his son was playing at the pool. And he goes, that's the day I fell in love with music, and I always wanted to play that stage. And so before he took off and got to the Lady Gaga gig, that was the last show he did with us. He goes, I got to play at Mandalay Bay Pool, a sold-out show. Everybody's screaming. Your dad's on stage. Brett and you guys, everybody treated us very well.
Yep.
That was his favorite moment. Not the Grammys, not playing, you know. And I'm like, wow, thank you. But there's a lesson, you know, that we get in there, and you get to carry that with these guys that don't get to see or experience. Like you got to open up for Brett Young on this European tour.
Yeah.
They weren't with you, the guys you're playing with now, right?
No.
They weren't with you.
No.
You were playing with your boys.
Yep.
They were backing you.
Yep.
You know, and those were the guys backing you there. And you get to carry that experience with them and say, look, these are the things we're chasing.
Absolutely.
You're my band now. You know, you're backing me.
Yeah.
We're doing this. That's my name there. But you're treating them. I saw you the other night, treating them just like equals.
Yeah.
It's not Brett Young. It's Matt Ferranti. And here's my band, and you're giving them their spotlight moments, and
Give them all chances to sing songs.
Absolutely.
All that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's what Brett did for you.
What do they say? You are what you eat, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's like, all I've been eating is love, grace, this and that from these guys.
Yeah.
And that's, you are what, so then you pass it down. You know what I'm saying? It's a natural flow if it happens the right way. So that's, shout out to BY. Mad love to you for taking the time to polish up this little rough ass kid from Bay City, bro. You know what I'm saying?
He's done a lot for me as well.
Yeah.
Like Brett, and I watched him come into his own as well. Like I watched him doing the cover band stuff.
Yeah. He's come
here.
a long way. He's come such a long way.
He's huge, and he's. If I was to text him right now in the middle of the show, 5 minutes later, he's texting me back on, "What's up, B? What do you need?"
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's he's that guy.
He's a G.
Yep, he absolutely is, and. You know, I have a song with him off my new record.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Damn.
One Day Someday. It was crazy. We were out with Daughtry doing shows, and you guys were out with Lady A.
Yep.
And he invited us to the show, and it was our day off. And Ben forgot to tell me we were invited to the show, and it was in Washington, just right across the water from Portland.
Yep.
You guys were playing, and he's like, "Where you guys at?" And we're going on in 20. And I'm like, what do you mean? Where are we at? You know, like, well, Ben, like, he didn't tell me. So he goes, okay, well, meet us afterwards. There's a little bar in Beaver Creek. He goes, my sister lives there.
Okay.
Let's meet up there. We roll up in the bar. It's a funny story because we roll up in a bar, and he goes, yeah, I cut my teeth here doing karaoke. My sister lives down the street still. And he goes, let's do some karaoke. After he got a couple drinks in him. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing karaoke. And he goes, what if we have the manager put all the phones away and they just shout out what they want us to do? So they're yelling out Tupac, Ice Ice Baby, all these things. And we're like busting out like 10 or 11 songs. I'm not even kidding. Ben, Brett, and I have video of it because our bus driver was videoing it,
That's
Shovelhead.
epic.
The manager's videoing. Then somebody yells out, let somebody else sing. And Brett and I walk up to the guy and give him both our mics. Ben puts his in his back pocket, walks away. The guy gets up there, does Metallica. While he's doing Metallica, this guy, Taylor, who they just got back together at the time, walks up. His brother-in-law walks up to Taylor right in front of us and says, hey, do a shot with me. You're his someday, right? And she goes, Brett, am I your someday? And he goes, Bryan, hold on. What'd you say? She said, Brett, am I your someday? And he goes, of course you are. And I grab my phone and I'm like this. I'm like putting this conversation in my phone. I'm like, and all of a sudden, 6'5" Captain America, Brett Young, looks over my shoulder and goes, what you doing? And he goes, no. One day, someday. That's the title. And he goes, there, that'll be our co-write. He goes, we started bouncing around like a scenario. And I'm like, screw the scenario. Like 2 days later, I wrote One Day Someday on the bus, and I brought it to Brett. And I said, what changes you want to make? And he hits me back, and he's like, we're face to face.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, I love it. I don't want to change anything. And I'm like, all right. So
Sweet.
It's on the new record. It's I just cut it, and One Day Someday.
Hell yeah, bro. That's cool. That's
but you know what I'm saying? It's from a story, like
for sure.
a crazy ass story with Brett, and so that's on the record.
That's amazing, man.
And we got to do that. You and me, we got to sit down.
We got to write a song, man. Yeah, for sure.
You know what we do is the next time you come through, Old Reds, instead of coming into the studio, we'll like when you're fresh and you haven't hit every night. What we'll do is we'll sit down and we'll knock out a song.
Well, I'm double plug. So we're back July 22nd to the 28th.
Okay.
At Old Red in Las Vegas. We're also back August 26th to the 31st.
Okay.
So we're here once a week for the whole summer.
Awesome.
So any of these times
what was it? July what?
July 22nd through the 28th.
Okay.
And then August 26th through the 31st.
Okay.
And so during those times we can write songs.
Right.
Whatever.
Let's do that because I go out. I'm in Peoria, Illinois on the 27th, and then in August 9th, I get to go back to my hometown, and then I have a run of like 5 shows as Bryan Hopkins.
And you're doing your own solo stuff.
I'm doing
now,
solo.
Right?
Yeah.
Proud of you for that, bro.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Going through the same shit, bro. Same shit.
And you know what? And Ben is my best friend.
Yeah,
he's world class. Ben's the guy that like when you couldn't go out with the Brett stuff.
Yeah.
Ben just stepped in and learned the songs the day before and started playing with Brett.
Shout out Ben Carey. Shout out Ben Carey. Mad love to you, bro.
Yes. Shout out you. Benny's the man.
He was on our flight coming from CMA Fest.
I saw that on your social media,
We're all
bro.
just sitting in the front of the plane like,
I saw that. I look over and you're like, wait a minute, those are all Brett's boys. Like those are your boys, and then there's Ben, and what's going on here? So you know what? Before we get into part 2 with you, in part 2 we're gonna play some samples of your new music,
unreleased music that no one's heard.
Yeah. Tune in for part 2. That's coming. So before we do that, that's what we'll do. But
cool.
I want to shout out to your family, your little one.
Yeah.
I do remember our first time ever playing as you were Matt Ferranti and we were Elvis Monroe. We did a show at Beer House.
Yeah. Yeah.
We did a show.
I've been trying to think of the name of that place.
Beer House.
The whole time.
Right across.
New York.
Yeah.
Right?
It's right across from MGM Park.
That's what it is.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's right next to New York, but across from it's the Beer House.
Yes. Stevie Monsey was there, I think, with us too. With me and you guys.
Yeah, and right. Steve.
Stevie, what's up, Stevie?
Shout out to Stevie. I did shows with Stevie in Alaska and Love and Theft.
Okay.
Yeah, Steven Barker Lyles.
Yeah.
He was like producing Monsey stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so we did some shows together. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Super
Beer
cool.
House. Damn.
Beer House. And I think it's spelled H-A-U-S.
Beer House. Beer House.
Exactly. And I remember that was my first time seeing you do your solo stuff. And I'm like, holy shit.
Man, I appreciate it.
Like, it's so good. And so, that's why let's sit down and write. Because we think very similar in like very poppy kind of,
We don't really fit in a specific genre. We're like a blend. We're like a blend of multiple different things.
Absolutely. Well, it's the influence.
Yeah.
It's the influence of from my mom. My mom would listen to 50s stuff. My dad listened to country, and I grew up listening to like the U2, Depeche Mode, Tears for Fears, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So it was a blend of like growing up and being influenced by real poppy kind of things. And my dad was old school country. You know, my dad sang in a country band.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when people ask me like, so what's genre are you? Like, what happened? I'm like, if Morgan Wallen and Justin Timberlake had an angry tattooed baby. That's basically what I tell them. I was like, you can put the pieces together any way you want, but that's kind of what it is.
That's awesome. You know what? At the end of this part 1, is there any advice to anybody sitting at home right now? Because how many times do we get asked, you know, like, how do I approach this? What do I do? You know, how do I go after my dream? Because if you're out there and you think that you're connecting with Matt and myself right now, and what we're talking about, you know, like, do you have any advice to anybody out there who's sitting there listening to us right now?
Yes. Remove as much liability out of your business and your situation as possible. If you're drinking, don't drive. You know, little things like that.
Yeah.
And especially if you don't even realize how many eyes are on you as you are climbing up, right? And the moment you do something stupid, you exponentially disappoint more people that you don't even know that you're disappointing. You know what I'm saying? If I can't make my gig because I'm in jail for DUI, like, now I have to deal with refunds. Now I have to deal with this. Now I have to make a post. Now, you know. Yeah. So remove liability, humility for show. Like, less of me, more excellence that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, less pride. My dad told me the 3 G's, okay? My dad's a minister, which, you know, as you can tell, you know, it's a dicey road with that. But gold, girls, and glory, okay? Money, girls, and pride. If you don't let those things get into your head and mess you up, that is liability to me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, if you just saw me chasing dollars and being stupid to people, you would lose respect for me, right?
Right.
If I was married and I was running around with my wife being a middle man whore, you lose respect from everybody, right? Yeah. Like, all those kind of things, man. And if I'm just a pompous asshole, no one likes a pompous asshole, bro. You know? Right. So those 3 things have just kind of kept me. Now, granted, like, as you figure it out, it's like a bumper bowling, right? Like, as long as those things are your bumpers, you can bounce around a little bit and figure stuff out, but ultimately, you gotta hit them damn pins, bro.
There you go. That's the goal. Take down those 10 pens. So we're gonna come back to part 2 with Matt Ferranti. We're gonna touch on some other things, the future of Matt, what he's got going on next, and we're gonna share some unreleased music, and we're going to find a way to do that. The Chief Nerd Travis is going to do that with us. We're going to make that happen. Shout out to the sponsors, S&P Inc., JPS Computers, and 1-844 Ride or Die Legal. And my name is Bryan Hopkins. This is part 1 with Matt Ferranti. Come back next week for part 2. And this is a Hero's Journey podcast. Cool.
I believe it's coming around to me.